Not okay. I am not okay.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and more. I had to calm down just a second, but I just watched the finale of the Loki series, episode 6, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Like, game changer for the MCU. Kevin Feige, Disney, and Marvel have given themselves so much leg room to do whatever they want and whatever they need for it to make perfect sense, for it to not mess with old facts or old information from the first 10 years, from the Infinity Saga, and it really opened up the huge barn door of opportunity for Marvel moving forward. They can add, move, change anything they need to for it to make sense, and it is in a good way. Like, I really like the way that this was set up, the way that the multiverse is going to affect everything moving into the next films, and the way that we have a really clear line from Spider-Man No Way Home to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where we can see how the things that just happened in Loki are going to play a very vital role in the overall outcome. My specific purpose in this video is to, number one, explain the ending, maybe things that got a little bit lost in the hype and in the excitement. So what exactly are the implications of everything that just went down? I also want to give you my reaction because it is very rarely that we get such an emotional change in direction and pivot in a huge franchise like Marvel. So this is a pretty monumental moment, and I want to give you my thoughts and my emotions going through it as I was watching this episode alongside with you guys during the watch party. And then lastly, just an overall review of what happened in the episode, and moving forward, what theories I could possibly come up with as to what we can expect from this Loki finale. We were given a confirmation in a tiny little tiny post-credit scene that we will be getting a second season of Loki, but it's a little bit far out there, so a few movies are going to happen before it comes. So what exactly can we expect in these films now that the multiverse is all over the place? I have a really cool Doctor Strange theory and how that's going to tie into this crazy multiversal war that we were just threatened with, and I'm going to explain that at the end of the video. A lot of excitement coming our way, guys. Congratulations to Booth for winning the giveaway. He's going to be picking out a Marvel End-of-Seat chair, and hopefully the Cosmic Wonder and I will be getting another giveaway moving for you guys real soon here, and I'll be sure to let you know. But be sure to subscribe anyway, support the channel, help the community grow, be a cool part, member, join the Discord, Twitter, all the other areas where we're talking about all major movie and television news every single day. Loki, episode 6, picks up directly where it left off. We see Sylvie and Loki outside of the castle. They make their way in, and we see that Sylvie's definitely struggling just a little bit with the idea of completing her life's mission. She's a little nervous, and that is going to play a role moving into the actual episode. We get in there, and Miss Minute immediately jumps up and informs us that the big bad running the TVA, as we've been calling him, the big bad, is He Who Remains. Now, this was a bit of a curveball, and I was a little bit confused when this happened, a little bit surprised and a little bit stunned. But as we move in, they get to this corridor, an elevator door pretty much opens, and in it stands Jonathan Majors. So, Kang. He goes on to explain to everybody who he is, and he is one of several variants of Kang. He's been called ruler, leader, dictator, conqueror, jerk, many different names, but he explains that he is of good intention, and he realized the power and capability of Kang throughout the different multiverses was too much. It led to a multiversal war as they all got together and eventually tried to play who's the best Kang. He ultimately ended up winning, and he created the sacred timeline to prevent other Kangs from taking over and causing madness. It was very interesting when Loki originally asked, "What are you so scared of?" And he looked up and simply said, "Me." He's scared of other variants of Kang, their potential, what they're capable of, and that's why the TVA and the sacred timeline exists. Not even necessarily for him to be ruler or king of all, but he does know and is the ruler of all, which still doesn't sit right with the Lokis, who have attempted several times at this point to kill him still. But He Who Remains continues on his rampage by explaining everything that's going on with the timelines. And he tells the Lokis he wants them to take his place. He's old, he's tired, and he doesn't want to continue doing this anymore. He wants them to take over and maintain the sacred timeline, rule the TVA, and they can have the opportunity to be rulers. The alternative would be to kill this variant of Kang known as He Who Remains, and everything can stumble into chaos and it'll go crazy. He even word drops the idea of reincarnation, which leads me to believe that we will see this character again. And overall, there is a decision. Now, Tom Hiddleston's Loki wants to think about and weigh out the option of potentially ruling the TVA and keeping the order, because he seems to have genuinely been terrified by what Jonathan Majors was saying, that there is scarier forces out there that he has been containing, and that if you kill him and you don't take over the TVA, well, guess what? They're coming for you. Sylvie, however, sees this as Loki just wanting to become a ruler and is disappointed, and they fight, and the decision has to be made. Are we going to kill this character, or are we going to rule the TVA? Well, after a lot of fighting, Loki tells her that he doesn't care about ruling. It's very heartfelt, it's really cool. They share a little kiss and an intimate moment, but then Sylvie kind of turns on him, throws him through a portal using a time pad and closes it, and our Loki has been returned to the TVA, which leaves Sylvie with this variant of Kang. She throws the desk to the side and she stabs a sword through his heart. But he looks at her and says, "I'll see you soon," which definitely is a pretty scary sentence. This is a character who throughout his few minutes in the series showed us his power, his ability, his knowledge, and he was terrifying. His confidence and his understanding of how time works and his ability to really demonstrate that his life form, his variants, the different versions of him are all very powerful, makes me wonder what's coming down the road. However, Sylvie took it upon herself to kill him, and now we're going to be seeing some catastrophic changes in the MCU, which immediately took place as you see the sacred timeline behind them outside in the space, galaxy, time loop where they are, already start to branch apart and then branch apart and then branch apart. It starts crashing into itself. It's pretty crazy to witness. Now, we don't see any of the immediate effects of this in the real world or in the real timeline. However, we do see one during the TVA inclusion, where Loki, who is outside of time, finally finds Morbius in the TVA, but Morbius doesn't recognize him. In fact, Morbius seems to be just like normal from the first 2 episodes when he was working for the TVA and doesn't have a clue what's going on. Loki then looks over and you see a very clear statue of Kang, of Jonathan Majors Kang, in the TVA, showing that things have already changed. So some confusion there as to what exactly are the changes, and we didn't get an answer. That was the end of the episode. That was the end of the series. Now we have to wait for answers from maybe Spider-Man, definitely Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Season 2 of Loki, when things are hopefully going to be explained a little bit better. The good news, Loki survived, Sylvie survived, Mobius survived, Renslayer survived, and Kang doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. There are a lot of questions about the immediate implications, but honestly, it's hard to tell because exactly like I said, there is a lot of leg room for Marvel to do whatever they want. The multiverse has exploded, and there's just no way of knowing where Marvel is going to go with this next. I cannot wait for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It was already my most highly anticipated movie, my most highly anticipated project at all coming to the MCU, and now I am even more ecstatically excited for this movie. I cannot wait to see what happens and how things are changed. Now, my immediate reaction, my mind was blown. I honestly had a hard time wrapping my head around everything that just happened, and quite frankly, we already kind of knew that this was going to happen. We were very aware that Kang was probably involved somehow, whether through Renslayer or as the TVA Big Bad, and I did double down and say it was going to be Loki, but I'm pleasantly surprised to say that it wasn't, because the Kang inclusion was very, very cool. But even though I didn't think or predict that it was going to be Kang, I wasn't surprised that it was Kang, and I loved the way Jonathan Majors worked in that entire series, his entire involvement, and the acting we saw from him was incredible. I hope to see more of this variant somewhere down the road. I'm also just still perplexed at the ideology of Marvel Studios opening up the MCU in this crazy way. In fact, probably shouldn't even be called the MCU anymore. It should probably be called the MCM, the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. I am just blown away by what is coming in our direction. Super, super excited, guys. I'm disappointed that Loki was kind of betrayed by Sylvie, but it was mentioned that she had those trust issues, and I think it wouldn't be the Loki way for those two to have an happily ever after, to stay together, or even to be involved with one another. However, they're both still alive, and their paths are going to cross, so there's still time for the happily ever after for Tom Hiddleston's Loki and for Sylvie, and I really do hope that that happens. Loki doesn't always have to be a loser, in my opinion, even though that seems to be the direction. Again, Mobius is still alive. All of these characters, Renslayer pulled a White Vision and completely disappeared. So I just want to know what happens, but I'm afraid we're going to have to wait a really, really long time for those specific answers to come out. But we do know the multiverse is blown up in complete disarray, and that's going to have some effects moving forward, which brings me to the third point of this video. What are the implications of this ending? I feel like it's very hard to deny that the Spider-Man movie is a Spider-Verse film at this point. It's one of the more immediate movies following this crazy, crazy series, and I think we're going to see some effects of these multiverse time jumpers from one branch to another, and that's Doc Ock and, of course, Jamie Foxx. Now, the big question is, does Doctor Strange bring the Spider-Man over to help deal with these multiversal characters, or do they find their way over there on their own? And it'll be interesting to see these tiny implications of time jumping that will lead to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness does bring me to my big theory of what's going to happen there, and I think Doctor Strange will find a way to bubble off each of the multiverses. I don't think he's going to be strong enough to completely set everything back to the normal timeline, and I also think upon understanding these different branched realities, Doctor Strange might realize that there's more to the world than just one sacred timeline. I think how Multiverse of Madness might end, and this is 100% a guess and a theory, but maybe Doctor Strange will figure out some type of ability or power that will enable him to break each branch off from each other, not allow them to intertwine, and for the meantime, that will keep us from going into an absolute battle world scenario. I also think eventually that will fail, and we will end up in a battle world scenario where different multiverses go to different multiverses, trying to take over, be the best version of themselves. We might see multiple different teams of the same character, a different type of Iron Man, new character, new actor, all over different options and abilities that we have. And 5 to 7 years from now, we might be getting an actual battle world Secret Wars saga, which I'm super excited for. So many cool characters to introduce, especially with the Fox purchase in X-Men, Deadpool, the mutants, and so many ways to introduce them now. I'm super excited, super pumped up after this episode. Marvel did a fantastic job of getting the fans up on their feet, cheering, applauding, and literally having their minds blown. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm sure you've seen Loki. I'm sure you have some opinions. Hopefully they're positive. Hopefully you enjoyed this experience. It was a little bit of work. It was a lot of effort to follow and to understand, but I can't wait to see where it leads us and what's coming up with Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and other huge Marvel projects coming down the road. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any crazy updates coming in the next few days, theories and ideas coming from this crazy finale, and they'll all be right here on Cosmic Culture.